Alrighty, it's 10:02. So who hasn't been through this training before on pre-listing package and seller pre-qualification, right? And this is something that even if you've been through it, you have to keep this in front of you. You have to keep going through it because the better you become at both of these things, the more successful you're going to get in converting appointments to listings and listings to a paycheck. So, uh, Elizabeth, you've got experience at another company. So, what what do you think your client, your prospective seller, so you've got a listing appointment, what do you think they want to see from you before you even show up? Anything?
Hmm.
Or
Um,
anybody else for that matter can jump in.
I don't typically send a pre-listing package. I call, I make an appointment, and I
Mhm.
do my presentation when I'm there.
Right. So we're going to show you something today that is an alternative to the way you've been operating before, and hopefully you can find that it makes sense.
Yeah, that's
Anybody else? Jessica, what do you think your client wants to see before you arrive? Anything?
Yeah, I think they want to see, kind of what you're gonna go over. They don't want to be blindsided, I think. I think they want to see like what you have to offer, what you're bringing to the table.
Right. So, so what preconceived notions do they have, or what do you think the things they're thinking about before they even see you? What do you think? What do you think their concerns are?
Commission.
The house is worth.
How
Yeah.
much the house is worth, what your commission is,
Mhm.
maybe what
What,
you're going
how
to
you're
do to
going to
sell the
market it?
house, how you're going to market it,
Yeah.
right? So good. So we're gonna start on step one and two of the listing process, and this is so I take part of this out of Coldwell Banker training, part out of Mike Ferry, part out of my experience, part out of samples that I get from you guys, and try to give you a bunch of different ideas. And the idea is that you learn from this and take pictures or ask for the slide deck or whatever you want, right? So the first part of the listing process is your prep work, right? It's the work that you do before you go, before you show up, right? And step one is the pre-qualification process, and that's where you learn about the customer, right? That's your job. Your job is to learn as much as you can about the customer to determine if they're a good fit for you. So you can make a decision, do I want to work with this person or do I not want to work with them? So that's pre-qualification is when you learn about the customer. And then the pre-listing package is when they learn about you, right? You can get through a lot of the hubbub and a lot of the different questions that they're going to have just by giving them a pre-listing package. Okay. So as you guys know, just like any professional athlete, actor, musician, they get ready before they go into showtime. Showtime's your listing appointment. So the definition of pre-qualify is to ensure in advance that this seller is a viable listing opportunity, right? You want to make sure that it's viable, right? Are they qualified to sell? Do they have motivation to sell? You're trying to set yourself up by gathering information so you can position your presentation and your meeting with them ahead of time to give you the maximum ability to get the listing. Number two, the pre-listing package is an introduction, right, of what your company is going to do and how your expertise has helped sellers achieve the best price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. right? So why pre-qualify, right? You want to know as much as you can about every individual seller situation before you walk through the door so you can tailor what you're going to give them to make sure that it fits what they need, right? So, some agents, I can ask agents, so if you go on 10 listing appointments, how many of them are you going to get? And some people could say three, four, right? I mean, that's a lot of work to get three listings. Or I could ask other people who are very experienced and have a process down, they might get six, seven, six or seven. Seven is probably a good number. If you tell me you get 100% of your listings of the appointments that you go on, what does that tell me? What do you think that tells me if you get every single appointment you go on?
You're not going on enough appointments.
You're not competing. You're waiting around and you're going on just come list me calls, right? Everybody loves to get a come list me call. But where the rubber meets the road is when you can go out and compete with an agent from Berkshire or Sotheby's or Century 21 or wherever else. You go head to head with them, you compete with them and you win, right? So that's the situation and the empowerment that we want to give you. So time is money, right? You don't want to screw around with somebody that you don't want to work with. You don't want to work with mean people. You don't want to work with people that want you to work for nothing. You don't want to work for people that want twice as much for their house as what it's worth, right? Number three, you don't want surprises, right? You want to limit the surprises. You don't want to get caught off guard when you get there, right? And the fourth one, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. By taking the time to dialogue and have a conversation, you can build that relationship before you even get to the house, right? So goal number one is gather as much information as possible, right? Gather as much information as possible. Goal number two is find out about the seller, find out about the property, and set the expectations and confirm the appointment. So the goal of pre-qualifying, and you guys have seen the Mike Ferry listing pre-qualification script, and we've got that in this slide deck for you. You're asking questions, right? Remember, we ask a question, we repeat and affirm. We always ask a question, repeat it in our own words, and affirm, because psychologically that turns our interrogation of them into conversational dialogue. That's salesmanship. It's sales. It's ask a question, how long have you lived, or what's one of the pre-qualification questions? Can anybody give me one?
Where are you moving to?
Where are you moving to?
How fast do you want to be there?
How fast do you want to be there? And I say, well, I'd like to be there in 6 months. And you say, oh, you want to be there in 6 months? Excellent, right? Repeat and affirm, repeat and affirm. So top listing agents have learned to resist the temptation of doing the presentation over the phone. And if you ever hear Sam when he does a role play, he does a pre-listing packet every single time. In fact, I've had agents from my offices up here that have gone on appointments and seen a pre-listing package on a seller's desk that he sent them to, right? So I know that he does that religiously. Okay, and you can hear, if you hear his dialogue, he always resists the temptation of giving them too much information over the phone, right? He'll say things like, that's a great question. That'll be one of the first things we discuss when I get there, right? So here is, so what do you think my home is worth, right? You're not going to give them the actual amount of what it's worth. you're going to give them a response of something like, based on what I learned from you now, I'll prepare a CMA, right? And we'll go over that as soon as I get to the house, right? You're not giving them that price over the phone, okay? So goal number 2, right? Top listing agents know the information they need to hear in order to tailor their presentation to what the seller wants so they can win the listing. The key intel they are looking for comes in 2 buckets, right? It's the property and the seller themselves. So they're learning about the property and they're learning about the sellers themselves, right? So here are some examples of some questions and some dialogue that you might ask. Why are you selling? Right? It's the second one on there. What are you trying to learn by asking that? You're trying to learn the motivation that's driving their decision. The greater the motivation, the more valuable the listing, right? Why are you selling? If they have a reason, right, then that's good. They have motivation. So what you want to do is act like you're excited, right? High level of energy and enthusiasm, and express your excitement. Say, great, I understand you're moving. You want to be closer to the grandkids. I completely understand, right? Why are you moving? Or excuse me, where are you moving? This gives you the opportunity to also make a pitch to get a referral fee. They say, well, we're going to buy a house in Kentucky. You know, you can go in and ask a question about getting a referral fee, right? Or aligning them with a colleague in Kentucky, right? How soon do you need to be there? How soon do you need to move? This is going to give you their level of urgency. The tighter that timeline is, the more valuable the listing is, right? Because you know why you know why they're selling, you know where they're moving, you know how soon they need to be there. And if all those are tight, you got a solid deal here, right? You just have to get it. So what's most important to you? Price, timing, easy transaction, or an easy transaction. The more you learn, the better you can prepare yourself. So we always want to find out how much equity they have, right? Because we don't want a listing where they owe more than what the house is worth, unless they plan on bringing cash to the table, which we see occasionally. We see that occasionally. Uh, so how much of the proceeds from this house do you plan to use in the purchase of your next home, right? If you're involved in a referral or if they're making a horizontal move somewhere in our community, right? This gives you the opportunity to just have more information. Does anybody have any questions, other questions that people ask that you could share with us? Things that you want to know before you take a listing? That's on their ability, their experience, right? You want to know what their experience is in selling houses before, because there may have been a problem with whatever happened at that time. And you want to make sure that you avoid that problem and address it, right? So have you ever sold a home before? Have you ever sold a home in this area before, right? If they have an understanding of how it works, you may treat them a little differently than if it's their first time selling a home, right? What did you like least and most about the experience with the other agents that you worked with? This is going to be really telling, because chances are, what's the biggest fault that real estate agents have? What's the biggest mistake they make, right? Starts with a C, right? Communication, right? So most of us aren't very good at communicating with our sellers during the course of the listing, because we're afraid, because we don't have anything to tell them, because the listing's overpriced, because this, that, or whatever, right? So again, you can learn about the past experience they had through this, And then property intel, right? Just basic information. Can you tell me a little bit about the house? If they really are like just Shazam about this faux painting or checkerboard tile they have in the master bath, that's a hot point for them, right? And you want to get excited about that, right? Whether you like it or not. You don't like the house, you still have to get excited about it. If they don't feel your enthusiasm when you're there, they're not going to believe that you can sell the house, even if you don't like the house. We just had a conversation about this. Who was in the car with me on the caravan? Was that you, Caroline? Or
It was me and Rebecca.
yeah. So what was the discussion that Rebecca Newman had about
She
what
said,
Margot said?
yeah,
Right. So
Margot said
Margot's
a
like
little.
in her 90s. She was like a frickin' hurricane dynamo when she was working. I mean, she was like an incredible agent. And what did she tell her kids?
She said well, first she said, even if you take it over prices, your overpriced listing, not someone else's. You want a sign in front of every house because you're always marketing yourself
Right.
every time you market that home. And then she also said, yeah, make sure you show them how much you love that home. That way you can market it.
Whether you like it or not,
Yep.
right? If you don't act or like the house, if you have misgivings about anything, they're going to sense that from you, right? So you want to be excited about it, whether you like it or not, right? It's like, you know, it's like having a kid and they bring something from school that they made, and it's like a little, okay. You gotta love it, right? Just act like you love it, okay?
Uh, what
Yes.
if what if when you're looking at the house, you see things that are going to be like not things like decorative things, but say their closets are like Fibber McGee's closets, and when you open them up, everything falls on the floor. I mean, that's where can you
Get the
like
listing
help them
first.
with
Get
staging?
get the listing
Okay,
signed, and then
all right,
help them after that, after you get it signed, right?
okay,
Good reminder.
Yeah, right. You don't want to talk them out of hiring you by
right.
being acting like you don't like the house. Okay. So there are two schools of thought when asking the sellers what they feel their home is worth. Number one is don't ask, right? As a professional, you'll present a thorough and research CMA. Number two is ask. Most sellers will have done some research and have an idea what the house is worth. So would you rather know what their expectation is or not know what their expectation is before you go?
Know it.
You'd rather know it. Yeah, I mean, you
Know
want
it
to
all day
know,
long.
you want to know what they think, right? So you can arm yourself with those facts and try to create a CMA that is going to help them make a good decision, right? So ask, have you already done any research on a price? Do you have a price in mind, right? If their expectations are realistic, you know, where did they get the information? Thanks for sharing this. I'll do a thorough CMA and bring a price plan based on what the market's telling us, right? You don't ever own the price. The market owns the price. The CMA is telling you that. It's not your price, right? It's the market's price. When you talk about price, it's always talked about in third person, right? It's not me, my, I, mine price. It's the market's price. It's what the market is telling us. It's what other houses are selling for,
But then
right?
they don't like the price when you tell them.
So who's on the phone there?
Like
249?
Kristen,
Kristen Harold. Oh, good.
yes.
Yeah. So if they don't like the price, right? So again, what's your business standard? what are you willing to do to get a listing? Do you have a business standard that says I'll take a listing that's 10% over or 5% over or
I mean, at some
15?
point, I don't know that you have a choice. You know, it's like get the listing and then you have to work on the price reduction if they're going to argue with you about it.
That's what Margot would say, you know? That's what Margot would say. Other people would say, I'm not going to waste my time, right? So here's the thing. How many listings do you have? Right? I mean, unless you have a healthy cherry tree with a lot of cherries on it, you can't cherry pick your listings. Something to think about, right? So spell out the details, the logistics, reconfirm when you're going to meet them. Tell them you're going to send them some information and ask for the commitment for them to review it. Okay. Ask them if they have any questions. Again, your job really is not to answer specifically what your fee or your price or your length of listing is. It's to rebound that back to them and say, that's a great question. That'll be one of the first things we discuss when I walk in the door. Or what's your fee? We just went over the Larry Kozak thing. How much commission do you charge, Caroline?
My husband says not nearly enough.
You got to laugh, right? And then what? And then what's next?
And then what's next is, oh, I have it right here.
My commission
Is
is paid.
well, I base my commission on three things: the condition of your home, the price we set on your home, and how hard you want all the agents to work showing you your home to their buyers. And that's something that we'll discuss and agree upon at the time of the listing.
Yeah. And is your fee going to get in the way of you guys doing business together?
Nope, commission is not a reason that we will not do business together.
My fee is not going to be a reason we decide not to work together or something like that. Okay. Again, you're delaying that. You can't tell them how much you're going to charge until you see the house and know what the price is going to be, right? And know how long you got to do the job. I mean, you can't, it's like getting a hip replacement. You don't call and get a price over the phone. It depends how old you are, what your shape is, what kind you need, you know. So here you guys have all been exposed to this pre-qualifying the listing presentation. 12 questions. So Mike Ferry says pre-qualify 100% of all sellers, 100% of the time, no exceptions. And a couple weeks ago in our Call Mania or our Fire Up Friday, Tony Palaria had actually used a script and got a listing appointment. And then he went right into the pre-qualification. He bridged right over. He said, do you mind? I've got a few more questions that'll help me prepare for our appointment. Do you mind if I ask him now? The person said, go ahead. And by the time Tony was done with these 12 questions, he realized he couldn't help the guy, right? So he didn't go on the appointment. So what did he do? He just figured out a way not to waste like a half a day screwing around with something that had no hope of ever happening. So that's why you ask these. Okay, so that's the first half, and it looks like we're doing good on time. That's the first half of what we're talking about. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or ideas about pre-qualifying someone? Can you see why? Go ahead.
Well, the question I've been having while you've been talking is what you just addressed. Like, don't you sometimes pre-qualify during that initial meeting or telephone conversation, or whatever it is that you have with that person?
You could, right? So it's two different things. So step one is always to get an appointment, right? So to get an appointment, we have to talk to people, and we either use the for sale by owner script, the expired script, the just listed script, the call arounds, the just sold script, the center of influence script, the whole or door knock, right? Right. The whole goal of those activities is to set an appointment, right? then you have to make a decision. Is this conversation going well enough between me and this person that I can say, and it'd be great if you have a couple more minutes. I have a few additional questions I'd like to ask so I can better prepare for our meeting. And if they say, nope, got to go, you're going to have to call them back and have two calls. If they say, yeah, I got all day, then you can roll right into this, right?
Okay, and then my other question is, how long do you think it typically takes to prepare your package that you want to send? Because when you're making the appointment, you need to take the time into consideration about
Yeah.
when.
Good question. So if you're prepared, Caroline, do you have a listing, pre-listing package ready to go? How
I
long does
do.
it take you to what's the thing that takes you the longest before you go on a listing appointment?
Well, since we're supposed to be technically doing a CMA, that part takes me the
The
longest.
CMA, technically and non-technically, we're always supposed to be doing a CMA, right?
Perfect.
So if you pre-prepare, if you spend time working on your craft to be ready, then all you got to do is a CMA. Pre-qualify, do the CMA, bam, out the door. Any last minute tweaks, you're organized, you have your stuff together, right? You do the CMA, you fill out the paperwork, which, after you do that a few hundred times, you'll get good at it, right? That's the biggest time drain. So let's go over the pre-listing package.
Even if it looks like it's not there.
So why provide a pre-listing package, right? This is where you're going to demonstrate how credible you are and the service that you're going to provide and what you and the company and the brand are going to do, the power we have to sell a property. Who better to sell a property in the Keys than Coldwell Banker Schmidt? I mean, come on, right? So,
So this is a landline.
hey, Jessica, could you mute, please?
Okay.
Thank you. So, time is always money, right? You give them all the information, they can read it. They actually have time to get angry and mad and lose the anger and madness before you even get there, right? Think about it. If you're putting the price in and they don't like the price, or you put the fee in, they have a chance to see that, right? And get over it before you get there, right? And you're going to make one more call. You're going to make one more call to them after you deliver the package right before the appointment to find out if they have any questions. And that's why we give them the price, the terms, and the commission ahead of time. So that when we call them and they say, well, geez, Leah, I told you I wanted $1 million. Your CMA says 900,000. What's up with that? Should we cancel the appointment? Oh, absolutely not. Jeff, I haven't seen the house yet. So, I can promise you, we'll agree on a price at the time of the listing. Right? So now you just learned what my hot button was by sending the pre-listing packet and giving me the information.
Did you just
Right.
say you also in the pre-listing package, you give them the commission?
We give them everything.
Well, if we've already told them that we'll talk about the commission when I've seen the house and I've
Yeah.
blah blah blah, we
We
said all
will.
of that
Yeah, we
in a
will.
previous conversation. So how could I possibly give them the commission if I haven't seen the house?
You're going to give them the listing contract that's going to say 7. I mean, that's our default commission. I mean,
Okay.
you're giving them you're not going to send a listing contract with no fee in it. I mean, that's our standard default fee. You're probably going to give them the friends and family rate at 6 when you get there, if they're qualified and motivated and timing and the whole deal, right? So there's some agents that don't give the commission, right? Some people are like, well, I'm not going to give them the commission. They may see the commission and cancel the appointment. There's some agents that feel that way. Some don't. right? I think a lot of it depends on the market too, right? So the other reason you provide a pre-listing package is you may have some competition. What if there's three people that are coming ahead of you earlier in the day or the day before? You know, if you don't send, I can promise you nobody else is going to send them a pre-listing package unless it's from our company, right? So if you do that, you're going to set yourself apart, and there's no way they're not going to delay making a decision until they speak with you because they're going to be so impressed with what you send them,
Is
right?
it electronic or is this package physical?
The recommended, what's the recommended method for delivering a pre-listing package?
In person.
In person, hand deliver. It's a work product, right? Now, what if they're in Colorado? Well, that's different. Overnight express. What if they say, I don't like papers, email it to me? Well, then you do that, right? But the preferred method is deliver the pre-listing package, right? You roll up to the front door, you keep the car running, you keep the door open like you're in a big rush, knock on the door and hand them the package. And they're going to say, why don't you come in now and take a look? Don't do that, right? Because the minute you play by their rules, then you lose control, right? Whether you're in a rush or not, oh, I'm in a big rush. I've got an appointment right after this. My car's running, the door's open. You can see here it is. I'll give you a call tomorrow after you've had a chance to look at this, right? That's the recommended approach. All right, so number one, make it efficient, make it informative, and make it easy for the seller to see and to read. Put the property disclosure, the forms. So pre-listing package, what's in it? So this is where the rubber meets the road right here. And this is where you guys can use this training to craft your own pre-listing package. You're going to put a cover letter in. You're going to put a marketing listing presentation that includes some references in your plan of action, a completed CMA, a net sheet. A net sheet is how much money they get after they pay the, the default transactional costs. You're going to put the listing documents in, right? And at a minimum, to get a listing, you need a listing agreement and a marketing addendum. At a minimum. Those are the minimum docs that you need. The other stuff, depending on the appointment, you could go back and get it later. You could go on a second appointment. You could send it to them through Dotloop, right? But I am not supposed to sign a listing unless there's a completed listing agreement and a completed marketing addendum. I don't know if Ruth is on this call or not, but she can verify that. So you want to create templates. You want to get 80% of the work done ahead of time and leave that little bit, that 20%, so that you can customize it so you're not creating it from scratch every time. So where do I find this, right? So you guys all know how to get the client bay, right? You're going to go into client bay, right? Not social bay, client bay. You're going to go to files, right down here, files. You're going to go to company files, and then you're gonna click seller and buyer presentations, seller listing presentations. Then the first thing you're going to get is the pre-listing package cover letter, and depending on which office you're in, right? Big Pine, Islamorada, Key Largo, Key West, or Middle Keys, you're going to get that particular pre-listing cover letter. And the pre-listing cover letter looks like this, right? And the reason this isn't in Dotloop, anything in Dotloop has to be a PDF. That's why it's not in Dotloop. This is a Word document that is designed to give you a basis so that you can customize it, right? And if you're in the Key Largo office and you check the Key Largo, you get the Key Largo pre-listing cover letter, it's going to have the Key Largo letterhead, right? And then you can read through this, put their name on it, put your signature block, You can add, subtract, take part of it out, shorten it, elongate it, whatever you want to do. You can edit it as a Word document. And it's just like an introduction, right? Enclosed, is information on what we talked about. It's the introduction letter. Okay, so the cover letter is an opening letter to your prospective new clients. Customize it, you use a basic template, and then you can put a little extra something in there. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for taking the time. Selling a home, is whatever, and following it up on our conversation at the soccer game yesterday, blah, blah, blah. Anything that you can customize in the cover letter is going to make it seem more genuine, like an opener or a closer. That makes sense? You know, ChatGPT will do wonderful things for you. Be careful when you use it because most people can tell if you use it to write something, right? So usually what I do if I use it to write something is I tell it to dumb it down to, like a fourth grade level. And then it seems more realistic to me, at least for my fourth grade level writing. So close, thanks again for the opportunity. I've already got some great ideas on how we can optimize the market value, blah, blah, blah. Right? So that's your pre-listing cover letter, your pre-listing package cover letter. Next thing you're going to do is tell them what you're going to do to sell the house. What's my plan? That's what they want to know, right? What did Larry say, right? My commission's based on, or not my commission, but the three things you're going to do at the appointment, right? May I make a suggestion? Let's do this. Let's set an appointment so I can tell you the three things that every seller wants to know. What your home is worth now, right? How long it's going to take to sell, and what I'm going to do, to attract the most amount of buyers and get your home sold the quickest, right? We're talking about your marketing plan. So the marketing plan it's already done for you. It's in a PowerPoint file inside of Client Bay, right? So you can see you go to files, company files, seller and buyer presentations, and then instead of going to pre-listing package cover letters, we're going to go to seller listing presentations. And there's two types. There's one for luxury properties over 2 million, and there's a presentation for properties under 2 million. So we're going to talk today as an example. I think I use the example of just the regular presentation. You're going to pick which office you're in, right? Key West, Lower Keys, Middle Keys. You're going to download this on your hard drive in PowerPoint format, right? And hopefully you know how to edit a PowerPoint file. If you don't, you need to learn quick, or you need to ask somebody to help you, right? Like me or Frank or Ruth or Steve or Nicole or someone, right? So that's where you get the presentation. This is what the presentation looks like right here. So this is like the opening page. So you can see either the general Coldwell Banker page or the luxury page. And that's where you're going to edit that. In PowerPoint, you just click on prepared for, and you're just going to type the person's name in, right? That's what the first page looks like. And these are all the pages. You don't have to send all these pages. You just send the ones that you can understand and want to use and that you feel like represent what you're trying to do. All these pages can be edited, or you can use them the way they are. Of course, we've got April Struth's picture in here and her biography. You don't want to use that. You want to put your own information about yourself in there. Okay. Do you have any testimonials from old customers, past customers? Testimonial is, you know, they write a letter and they say, oh, Leah's so great. She did this and that and whatever and sold a home. No problem. We'd use her again in a minute, right? You want to put a couple of those in here. Here, this is an example of an actual presentation from one of our agents that retired, right? And this is from her actual presentation. So you can see that she spent some time. I took her name out. That's why it's blacked out. You know, so it says, why hire Leah? Right across the top, I've got the black mark over the name. She invested time in her business to create this. So it's already created. It's already in there. She doesn't have to redo it and rethink about it. You guys, any of you guys can do this. We have that Schmidt Delta Tango, Schmidt DT Tango Resource Center, and you can have a creative expert design one of these for you. You got to give them the information, but that's a resource that's free. They don't charge anything to design. If you want it printed, you know, there's a small charge for that, but they'll design anything you want, right? And I know a lot of you guys are doing great stuff with Canva now. You know, that's another option. Coldwell Banker gives you Canva to use for free, right? So that's your testimonials. And it doesn't have to be fancy like this, but again, I mean, what are you trying to do? You're trying to win. So, you know, give it your best shot. Here's a reference list. This is in the PowerPoint. You can use this format, or you can create a format like that for your references, right? Here's a list of what so these are all the homes that this particular person sold. Like I said, she's no longer with us. She's somewhat retired now. And these are all the homes that she personally sold. And if you don't have any homes that you've sold, put in the homes that the company has sold. You know, homes sold by Coldwell Banker over the last year. There's like 900 of them. So pick the ones in Big Pine Key or wherever it is you're going for the business. Just make a list of them. Right? So here's that listing plan of action that we're talking about. And if you go into the Mike Ferry materials, the listing plan of action gives 3 objectives. You know, my objectives are to assist in getting as many people through the house, to communicate, to assist in negotiating the highest price. And then the following is my proactive approach, 18 steps of what I'm going to do. Right? Again, this document is in the MFO materials. It's at mikeferry.com and it's right here. Right? And this slide deck will be put inside of Back at You so that you can get it. You can always rewatch this on our YouTube channel. So that's the Mike Ferry version. The one on the right is that same agent's version. So she took the Mike Ferry version, kind of plain and simple looking, and doctored it up. I don't know how she did it. I think she had her daughter do it. But again, you could go to Delta Tango Resources and get them to do it. Here's one that my coach sent me yesterday. So my Mike Ferry coach shared this with Frank and Ruth and I yesterday. This is their plan of action. It's another idea for you on how to design a plan of action. And I purposely blocked out where this is. This is an outfit in Iowa or somewhere, Indiana. And this is the format they use and had designed for them. It's like a check the box. It's your plan of action. It's your objectives and the step-by-step things that you're going to do to get the home sold. That's what people want to know. Any questions about the plan of action? And that plan of action should be inside that marketing presentation.
Jeff, what was the name of the thing where you said you could get free assistance with designing a page?
Yeah, it's called Schmidt. I think it's schmidtresources.com, right? And Schmidt is spelled DT and not TT. So Delta Tango as opposed to Tango Tango, schmidtresources.com. And it's that CB, it's a Coldwell Banker Schmidt franchise that operates in other areas of the United States other than here that we partner with on different things, like our luxury magazine and the ability for you to use Schmidt resources. And they'll do this for you for free, right? Okay. Whoops. So here's an example of some ideas that Marianne provided, and it's Marianne Warren, of things that she's done. You know, it's like a portfolio of excellence. Experience matters. She said, you know, 227 Mohawk negotiated a sales price $276,000 over asking, right? Tequesta, 75,000. Narragansett sold in 20 days, right? Again, if you have these experiences, tell them about it. I mean, that's like a big win, right? I mean, that's like something good. So toot your own horn on how you have helped other people and the results that you've had. This is a little hard to read, but what this is all the things that one particular agent does. And this is an agent does all these things, and they give their sellers on day one, I'm going to sign the listing agreement. I'm going to order the photography, blah, blah, blah. Day two, I'm going to install the yard sign. Day three, I'm going to contact all my buyer leads. Day 10, I'm going to promote the home at a company meeting. Again, they're committing to days and dates and the service they're going to provide, right? It's just a little different way to do it. They're committing to dates. I don't know if you'd want to do that, maybe, maybe not, but it's an idea. What are all the things that you do? They don't know what you do. They think you just put a sign in the yard and, you know, think about it. You got to tell them what you do. They don't know what you do. Okay. Then we come to the part everybody loves. Everybody loves to do a CMA. Isabel, do you like to do CMAs?
Yes, I do.
She loves CMAs, I know. So there's two ways to do a CMA. There's actually more than two. I like to use Moxie, right? So the Moxie tool is inside of my CB desk. That's a whole other class and concept and talking idea for us. It's an interactive thing. It's the tool I use when we do our open house extravaganzas. So if you've ever looked at our open house extravaganza presentation, your CMA is going to look about like that, right? So that's the one I like to teach. And then you can also use Flex for a CMA, but you're going to include that in your pre-listing package, right? Also in there, you're going to have a net sheet, right? So the example on the left is a net sheet that Moxie does, right? It gives the cost breakdowns and the estimated net proceeds. The one on the right is a net sheet that's in dot loop that you can fill in and use. Moxie calculates it automatically. Dot loop, you calculate it manually, right? But you want the seller to know how much money they're going to get. I mean, don't you think they deserve to know that? Yeah, of course, right? Don't be afraid to tell them. I mean, they need to know, right? So then I know that a lot of you are not using this binder tool, right? Every one of our offices has a binder. They have binders that are luxury island binders. They have the white binders that are the regular brand binders. They have the clear binders that you can see on the left there, and they all have this custom paper called V paper. And this paper has it's got a little perforation. It's got a little folded bend on the left side that works to make the paper function better inside the binder. It makes it open and lay out more professionally. It's a thicker paper. You got to load it in the copier the correct way so you know that the crease is on the side you want it to be on. You got to set the printer up so that it does double-sided, right? I mean, you're not like in third grade, print your stuff so it's double-sided, right? So it looks like a magazine. You're trying to get it to look like a magazine, right? All this takes time, and if you've never done it, you gotta practice. You should make one. Go through the process of doing it. And it's a third, so you put it in the binding machine, and there's some hot glue on the spine of the booklet thing that you put it in, you know, and that binding machine heats up the hot glue, and then the papers get glued into the spine, right? Then you take it out and let it cool, and then it looks like $1,000,000. It's like, wow, that's nice, right? Pam, have you used this? Caroline, do you use it? I know Lauren uses it. You guys
Yes,
should all
I've
use
used it.
this. Yeah, you need to use it. These things cost us a fortune to buy. We
I
did it
used
for
all
a
of it right
reason.
now.
Yeah, it's really gonna help you, you know. So, uh, 3D pre-listing package, right? So you want to take it an extra step out. You want to do something really catchy. You want to try to create, a little customization in what you do. Deliver with the pre-listing package something special, a gift bag, whatever. This example, witty catchphrase concerning your visit. Whoops. A packet or jar of popcorn popping by with some info. Anything for kids. If they've got kids, people love to get stuff to give their kids. Coloring book or, something like that. Buy something from a bakery, candy shop. We got great candy shops in the Keys, right? So this is Titan Talk. So this is like a serious lister. This is a definite listing expert. If I send sellers a physical packet and they fill it out for me, I know they're going to list with me because they've taken time to do all the paperwork. So what she's saying is she can provide these pre-listing packages, and sometimes the seller fills out the paperwork for them even before they get there. They may have it signed, right? You never know. Uh, give them some homework. But the pre-listing packet is going to really set you apart and make you special. Nobody else does it. And if you're going to make 30, 40, 50, $300,000, 5,000 off a listing, don't you think your customers deserve that? Don't you think you owe it to yourself to do this, right? Because it's going to help you make more money. So this talks a little bit about the property disclosure and the other forms. Okay. Hard copy versus soft copy. Somebody asked a question about that. We're running out of time here. So Mike always says, hand deliver hard copy. It's your work product. People like to look at a work product, right? So and somebody asked, I think it was Leah, about how long does this take? So make your listing appointments more efficient by using a pre-listing package. Get everything made up. Get as much done as you can and have it ready to go. So all you got to do is fill in the dot loop address, fill in the CMA, bam, you're out the door, you're ready to go. Don't go on a listing of, so if, it's like 11 o'clock right now and somebody says, well, I want to list my house. And you say, when do you want to meet? And they say, how about today at 1? Could you be ready at 1? Some of you could, right? You wouldn't be able to follow this process, right? They're already taking control of how you work. I'm not sure if that's good or not. You're the one that's in control. You don't want the horse to be pushing the cart. You're the horse, you pull the cart, right? You're in charge. Work the way that you know how to work, that works for you. And this is Marie. We need to get all this stuff together, put it in one of these nice binders or one of these folders, put it in one of our big envelopes and hand it right over to them. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? It's overwhelming. I know it can be if you're new. If you're not new, hopefully you've thought about something maybe that you haven't done that you could do that would make your pre-listing package better.
I have a question. What were the three things that the commission was going to be based on?
Okay, so Caroline, how much is your commission?
No, not nearly enough. Oh, whoops.
Well, my husband would say,
Go ahead,
"Not
go
nearly
ahead, go
enough."
ahead, Kristen. How much is your commission?
My husband would say not nearly enough.
Yeah. Okay, and then what?
um, that's one of the things we'll be discussing when I meet with you.
Good morning.
Damn it.
All right, Caroline, how much is your commission?
Well, my husband would say, "Not nearly enough." Well, and Jeff, I do base my commission on three things: the condition of your home, the price that we set on your home, and how hard you want all the agents to work showing your home to their buyers. And that is something that we'll discuss and agree upon at the time of the listing. And commission is not a reason that we won't do business together.
Yeah, right.
Thank
Pretty
you.
simple, right? So go back to business notes from last week and print that page of the PowerPoint slide out and post it on in your workspace. Right? We had two things. We had that, and then we had, may I make a suggestion? Right? We had how much is your commission? How much do you charge? And then, well, I'm not sure if I want to meet with you, blah, blah, blah. My head hurts and my dog's got a broken tail. And then you say, may I make a suggestion? And there's another script in there for getting the appointment. May I make a suggestion? Let's do this. Let's meet together. It'll take 25 minutes. And I'll tell you the three things that every seller wants to know. Who remembers what the three things are? The price we can get for your home at this time. How many days it's going to take to sell your home. And what's the last one? The steps I'm going to take to market and sell your property. And the best thing is, what's the best thing?
It's free.
It's free. And what's the other best thing?
It'll only take 15 minutes.
And what's the other best thing? Are you obligated?
No obligation.
There's no obligation, right?
I thought it was supposed to be a 35 to 45-minute appointment when you met with them.
You're just saying that.
Just like you're saying that we're going to talk about the commission based on things that I haven't seen yet. And then I send them a paper that says
That's the default.
7% commission.
That's the default. That's pre-printed in there. I mean, if it makes you feel better, white it out and don't send it, right? If there's anything on here that's like giving you a mental hang up, I mean, people have different, things that they think about. Take it out. Don't do it. If that's giving you a hang up, don't, just change, right? I understand that, right? I mean, I got a lot of hang ups, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we're not, here's the thing. I was reading somewhere yesterday, it said, you get paid the amount of money you make is directly correlates to how uncomfortable you can be. Right? It's like the more uncomfortable that you can be, and the more uncomfortableness you can be, the more money you can make. And I know Pam, you were a lawyer, right? A lot of times you're probably uncomfortable being a lawyer, right? I know my daughter is a medical professional. She gets involved in a lot of situations where she's very uncomfortable, right? I know Lisa gets uncomfortable, and Sam does, and I do, and you guys do. The better you can just just be like that for a little bit, the more money you can make. Because the more risk you take, the more chance you have of success. And if you can just accept a little fear, right? What's fear? False evidence appearing real. That's what fear is. It's false evidence that appears to be real. It's in your head. It's easy for me to say that, right? Or you. Practicing it takes determination. So, anything else? You guys are awesome. Tell all your friends, tell all your friends they suck and they should have come to this, and too bad now they're not going to learn. So, all right.
Jeff, I have one last question. Can you share what Anthony's client, why he figured out he couldn't help that person? What was the deciding factor? Or do I have to ask Anthony?
I don't remember. I don't
Okay.
remember what it was. Yeah,
Okay.
you could add. He's very sharing. I'm sure he'd share it with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I think what the thing was, the guy didn't want to sign a listing if I remember right, he didn't want to sign a listing contract.
Oh, okay.
He said, "Well, I'm not going to sign a listing contract." Right.
Okay.
So Anthony could have done all this work, right? And then gone out there, and the guy says, "Well, I'm not going to sign a listing contract." That would have been a complete waste of time. So he learned that before he went, and it saved him some time. Right. Okay.
Jeff, I have one more too, real quick. What if the guy wants to have the appointment like today and you're not prepared for today, but he tells you that he's also meeting with Berkshire today.
Yeah.
So then,
I mean, what would you do, Lauren? Would you go on an appointment in 2 hours?
I would if I had to, but I would explain that. I'd say, hey, this is what I have available. Unfortunately, that won't give me a lot of time to do the due diligence, but I'd love to talk to you about your goals, and I would just go with what I've got. Just be honest with them and have a
What
real
about
conversation.
I know Caroline would go. She'd be out the door and she'd be there, and right. Would you go, Jessica, if somebody said come in 2 hours?
I would, but I think I'd take the approach like Lauren, hey, I don't have a lot of time to prepare, but I'm happy to go. I'm going to send you a quick email with a pre-listing packet, and please be aware I haven't been to your house. So I won't have a lot of time to prepare, but I will be there and do everything I can to make it happen for you.
Right.
That happens a lot in the rentals because buyers don't understand when they get here, they're going to like something, and then they have to understand the numbers like right away. And there's no like canned presentation for that really, because it's so situational. But that's typically how I handle it. I'll be like, yeah, I'll be there, or yeah, come to my office, that kind of thing.
Would you go, Shanti?
Oh my God. I mean, yes, I'd go, but with the same approach of, I usually like to do a lot more research on the property before meeting with you, but I'm going to do as much as I can, and I will meet you.
Elizabeth and Pam, would you guys go? Yes, no? Yeah.
Yes, I would go.
Right. Yeah. Right. So here's the thing, like the stuff that we teach is designed to put you in control of the process, right? When you start losing control of the process, then you're at greater risk of not succeeding. So, just like we were talking about Leah, if you don't want to put the commission in, don't put it in. If you want to go on a listing appointment without doing any of this, go. But I can tell you, if you go on a listing appointment and rely solely on rapport, it's a weakness, right? If you go and just rely solely on your rapport, it really is a weakness. Listing is a professional skill that you learn and use, and the best people have a process. So good luck, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. If I don't see you, if you have any questions at all, give me a call. And I'm always ready.
Jeff?
Ready. Yes.
I sent you a contract. Can you give me a call when you get a chance to just talk through some of the language on there?
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank
All right.
you.
Goodbye,
Bye.
ladies.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Bye-bye.